Hi, welcome to our channel True Up. America isn't only making a comeback, it also wants to demonstrate its capacity to set an example for others. Must demonstrate that our climate pledges are more than just talk. The U.S. administration under Biden showcased its goals at the climate meeting at the end of 2021, but the June verdict called all of this into question. The U.S. Supreme Court concluded on June 30 that the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, lacks the authority to regulate greenhouse gas emissions at the state level or to mandate the use of renewable energy sources in place of fossil fuels by power plants. As a result, the EPA no longer has access to the most effective tool for reducing gas emissions from power plants. Biden criticized this as setting the country back, and the U.S. media was forced to acknowledge that the Biden administration's climate ambitions have hit a wall one after another, eroding the country's influence abroad. However, in contrast to this, the American media appears to be more worried about something else: what the Chinese would do. When they see it, they reflect. The dream of the Biden administration striving to rescue the world under the leadership of the United States may not be entirely destroyed, but it is not far away, the largest news organization in the United States, the Associated Press, stated at the outset of a report on July 1. The article made note of the fact that, thanks to a 6-3 majority from the 3 Trump-appointed conservative justices, the EPA's authority over power plants was constrained by the U.S. Supreme Court. According to the Associated Press, the decision increases the likelihood that the Republican-dominated Supreme Court will continue to prevent Biden and government agencies from limiting emissions from fossil fuels. By 2020, the Biden administration has promised to cut American greenhouse gas emissions in half, and by 2035, the electricity sector will be completely emission-free. The Supreme Court's decision today not only violates Biden's campaign pledge, but it also demonstrates that the Biden administration is running out of alternatives to undo the Trump legacy. The bipartisan Congress has given Biden the worst climate failure of his presidency, according to the report. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of the coal state and 2 other lawmakers have opposed Biden's Rebuild a Better Future Act, which was intended to jumpstart America's transition to electric vehicles, clean energy, and energy-efficient buildings. A top Democratic member said that there is no chance for Congress to pass any significant climate legislation. Biden's plan to transition to clean energy is also hampered by the high cost of energy at the moment. In addition to compelling him to advocate for more oil and gas, this has increased inflation and stoked public resentment at the Democrats in power as well as the Biden administration. It's also unclear in this situation if Biden still thinks he has the political clout to steer the United States strongly in the direction of renewable energy, as he pledged both as a candidate and during his first few months in office. The consequences of Biden's repeated failures on climate concerns won't be restricted to the U.S. Some scientists claim that actions regarding climate change may have broader repercussions. First, the nation can't do things well. Second, the domestic growth of the nation is going in a very strange way, at least to some extent for Europeans. Reports were even casually contrasted. The president is including U.S. friends in the implementation of climate change, as seen by Biden's success at the NATO summit and the setback he had at the Supreme Court following his return. Biden plainly pointed this out to U.S. allies. How fragile it is when it comes to obligations and household matters. Therefore, the issue today is, can the United States still lead itself? For U.S. friends who have witnessed Biden's rhetoric to lead the world in the global clean energy transition, the Biden administration is obviously not willing to give up. The government has pledged to quicken the crackdown on methane leaks in the natural gas industry, according to Eric Schaefer, the former director of civil enforcement at the Environmental Protection Agency. This includes accelerating new rules to limit carbon pollution from power plants and updating standards for toxic emissions from power plants. Next, the Supreme Court's decision. The EPA promised to submit a revised carbon emission rule for power plants by the beginning of the following year. Additionally, Biden stated that his team will continue to develop methods to safeguard in their battle against climate change. Under federal law, Americans are protected from pollution and the impacts of climate change. John Kerry, Biden's chief climate negotiator, made the strongest remark. He said that the U.S. had advanced via technology advancements in the electric car and other businesses, as well as initiatives in dozens of other primarily Democratic led states like California, in lowering fossil fuel emissions. This year, efforts have been undertaken to address climate change in various nations. There has been progress, with more governments making commitments to speed up emission reductions and more nations signing US-backed promises to target the methane-emitting natural gas sector. Kerry stated, "I'm not going to be negative about it, I simply say we're going to work and fight harder." Kerry may be confident, but as obstacles multiply, his dedication to the United States' climate aspirations has grown more moderate. Can the United States thus serve as a model for China? Although the focus of the two Associated Press publications, for example, is on the opposition to the climate crisis in the United States, the two articles that were concerned about China at the end of the piece. In the first story, the AP noted that when contrasted with Biden's call to lead by example at the climate conference, when compared with the time when Kerry asked others, the Supreme Court's decision to discourage the use of coal and other fossil fuels has reduced American influence in other nations, especially China. This worry was raised by the Associated Press in an interview with Kerry. Directly to Kerry, asking, "Will the United States require China and other carbon emission great powers fast forsake fossil fuels while the United States is failing to accomplish some of its own goals?" According to the Associated Press, Kerry has now made it China should do more on the climate issue, he stated in a more mild comment than when he said it in September of last year. According to Kerry, they'll do their own analysis. It's feasible that this will influence their choice. If the United States is able to accomplish its objectives more rapidly, it will put a lot of pressure on other nations. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has long addressed China's additional worry over the climate issue from the United States. China stated that to deal with climate change, it is not what others ask us to do, but what we do ourselves, Wang Wenbin, a spokesman, noted in September of last year. "We hope that the US can evaluate China and US-China ties honestly and logically and turn away from the route of climate change cooperation between the two countries. The roadblock between the two sides centered on the values of mutual gain, respect, equality, and equality. In order to accomplish more outcomes, encourage coordination and collaboration between the two parties in the sectors of climate change and other areas." Thanks for watching our video. We would appreciate it if you subscribed our channel and gave us a thumb. See you.